We're back.
We're back!
Yay! And tonight is a special night in so many ways. We are going to be making what is perhaps the onomatopoeia of food. We're going to make a wiggle casserole. Now, I don't know if I'm using that word entirely right, because is wiggle a word that sounds like what it is? I think so. Wiggle. Anyway, wiggle casserole, or as they might say here in Minnesota, a wiggle hot dish, is a food that I grew up with. And I have the recipe. It's written down on a piece of paper in handwriting, cursive writing, sort of. And so we're very excited to share with you Wiggle. But perhaps even more than that, we really want to share some things that we got from the incredible Mary Knight, who is also from Riverside, California, a proud alumna of Riverside Polytechnic High School, and a food and travel writer. In fact, her website, www.spoonandsuitcase.com, explores the world through food and travel. So we're going to put that up here. But Mary Knight,
Amazing.
Wow, amazing. Mary Knight sent us two things. Do you want to describe what you have here?
Well, I've just casually draped over my shoulder is a dish towel featuring what may or may not be the parent navel orange, which resides in Riverside, California. Is that right, Jim?
Yeah, every single orange that you get, particularly in North America, came from the parent navel orange tree, which is on Arlington Avenue in Riverside, California, just behind where my grandmother lived on Granada, if any of you live on Granada.
I've seen it.
Yes.
The idea is pretty spectacular. The thing itself is pretty cool, but it's just sitting there on a street corner. So there you go.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. If you're from Brazil, you can of course claim the rights to your own parent navel orange. But in North America, every navel orange that you get originated in my hometown, in Mary Knight's hometown of Riverside, California. We're also going to be calling upon another Riverside resident, or Riverside, part of the Riverside diaspora, if you will, Julie Hughes, later on. Some of you saw the cornbread video. Wow.
What else did we get in the mail?
We also got in the mail, we got a Gless Ranch tote. Amazing. The thing that's wonderful about it is that it's in the colors of Riverside Polytechnic High School, which is orange and then green. And within it, there should be navel oranges. We have this instead. Anyway, put that aside.
Sure.
Great. Okay, good. So Mary Knight, we can't thank you enough, and we know that Wiggle will not be appearing on your website.
That's okay. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, but it'll be in your heart. Anyway, so we're gonna make Wiggle tonight.
So tell us about what is in Wiggle, Jim.
Wiggle's great. Wiggle is an assembled food. It has ground beef, although we'll talk about this. We're going to be using the vegan substitute because of my fussy eating habits. There you go.
Oven's ready.
It has stewed tomatoes. It has canned green beans. It has
shredded cheese.
Shredded cheese. We've got some mild shredded cheese, and it has macaroni, which I think gives it the wiggle. So
nice.
So we're gonna try to do this quickly, which we always say, but we really are this time. So
just a brief word.
Yeah.
Here's my delaying. Just a brief word about the ground beef substitute. So when we were recently in New Jersey visiting my uncle Jim Curley. Hi, Jim Curley.
Jim Curley.
We were in the grocery store buying burgers because a couple of cousins of mine were going to come and join us for dinner one or two nights, and we were looking for some vegetarian substitutes, and just grabbed something that was like, there's one that was a 6-pack, and we're like, that's too many. I found one that was 2-packs. Didn't even look at the brand. Didn't even think anything about it. Took them home. We made them. They were
impossible.
They were. Well, you've given it away.
Sorry.
It was the Impossible Burger, which we've heard so much about over the last few years.
Amazing.
And they really were incredibly good.
I would say impossibly
They were
good.
impossibly good. They don't sell them here in Minnesota. So instead, we got a vegan breakfast sausage, and we heated them up to the proper temperature. We crumbled them up, and you'd never know it's not ground beef. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
And I will say that there is sage in the vegan ground meat product, and that will either elevate or destroy the Wiggle, because you don't use spices other than salt and pepper in Wiggle, but it is the 21st century. Anyway, hang on, we'll show you how it's done, and then we're going to have our special guest, and then we're going to taste test it. So
let's do this.
All right, Wiggle.
So Jim, how do we start?
first thing we're going to do is we're going to put this meatless ground beef into this tin casserole dish. I wanted to get a Pyrex tray like the one that we had at home that Mom, who introduced us to Wiggle, and that Julie Hughes then used when she made it for us when my parents were off gallivanting and she was taking care of us while she herself was just a teenager. But I couldn't find one, so we got these instead. This also indicates perhaps that you might take this camping, something that Julie Hughes, Mary Knight, and all of our families did together. So, and again, I suppose it's more nostalgia. Anyway, I'm putting this in. Thank you, Lori Miller, for the utensil. And thank you, Mary Beth, for the aprons, and Melinda Hughes. We're going to be using yours later, too. So Riverside Polytechnic High School is completely represented. Look at that.
Okay, so a layer of ground beef in the bottom.
Okay.
And then what, Tim?
Well, let's turn off the camera so we can get ready for the second part.
Okay. Now we're going to season the ground beef substitute with salt and pepper. A little modern take, that is sea salt. And of course, this is Telecherry pepper, neither of which was available in 1972.
Now we're going to sprinkle 2 tablespoons of flour over the ground beef substitute. I don't know why we're doing this. I assume that it has some sort of binding agent.
Sure.
Those of you who are watching this who want to correct us, by all means, fill us in.
Using the special Melinda Hughes spatula, we pour over a can of stewed tomatoes. What? I feel like there should be more tomatoes.
Well, we have another can.
Maybe we'll just add a second can.
Let's do that.
So yes, the second can, definitely the way to go. Jim, you want to salt, pepper, and flour?
I would. All right, so here we go. We're gonna put 2 cans of the cut green beans. If you look on the internet and you look up Wiggle, it will say you can use corn and you can use peas. Don't. I also want to reference the Anderson family, Bob and Patty Anderson. You'll notice that there's Bob and Patty Robinson, there's Jim Robinson, and there's Ed Robinson. Jim Miller, Bob Anderson, and Patty Anderson were at my parents' wedding, hence. So, and Eddie, family name. So, Bob Anderson gave Mom, or he looked it up, the recipe for Wiggle. So thank you so much, Bob Anderson, and hello, David, Tommy, and Carrie. Anyway, so I'm gonna put this in. Here we go, these are the noodles. I wonder if I cooked too many.
Yeah, we'll find out. Looks good.
It looks wiggly, doesn't
Looks
it?
like casserole.
Yum.
I wonder if it is too many. We'll find out.
We'll find out. What do you think? That's a lot
Looks
of.
pretty good.
Yeah, I'll put them over here.
Okay.
All right.
I'm feeling good about this quantity of noodles here. All it really needs now is every hot dish / casserole's magic ingredient, the cheese.
What kind of cheese do we have here, Dennis?
It looks like mild cheddar cheese, pre-shredded, because we're the kind of cooks who don't want to waste time sous chefing our lives away. You know what I'm saying?
You know what would be good with this Wiggle?
What's that?
A glass of Tang.
Oh.
Or, since we're adults, we could have a can of Tab.
Do they still make Tab?
I think they do.
Oh my
I think
God.
they still make Tang. What if we put Tang in there and use it as a spice?
That would be orange flavored.
Anyway, well,
Yeah.
so here we go. I'm gonna cut off here, but that's pretty much how
This
you
looks
do it.
pretty much how you make it. I guess we'll check in with our special guest in a moment, and then we'll be tasting the magic of Wiggle. I don't know where to look. There it is.
All right, so we're gonna put the Wiggle in. The oven is set at 350, and the entire Wiggle experience will be in there for 35 to 40 minutes, depending on how well the noodles hold up. So I'm gonna open it. Wow, that's hot. Julie, first of all, thank you so much for the cast iron skillet and your mom's cornbread recipe.
For those
Well,
of you watching at home, Julie is the famous sender of the cast iron skillet and the cornbread, which was a huge success.
And we didn't do it right. Do you want to tell our 12 viewers what we need to do the next time we make the
fogging up. Yeah. Well, okay. As you say, I was their babysitter, dueña, for God, from when I was 14 until I was 22. Sent Patty to the prom. But I would make this skillet custard cornbread, and sometimes it would work, and there would be the custard, and sometimes it wouldn't. It just, that's the way it is. So anyhow, but I kept saying, pour the milk in slowly. That is the hot pan. Take it out. Don't leave the door open, and pour the milk in slowly, and then you should get the custard. But it's good even if you don't get the custard. Sometimes it's on the top. Yeah. But I fed the twins that a lot because their mother is a very lovely woman. Hi, Lorraine. I have so many memories of the twins, and as we said, I've told the grand twins, Eddie and Bobby and Patty's kids, all the stories are true.
Before you say this, Julie, if I were there, I'd find a way to get on the roof and to pour a bucket of water on your head. I mean, I
would hope so. Yeah. Or take the air horn and scare me when I was dumping the trash.
Yeah. I mean, I look back on that, I think, what were we working out? But anyway.
Well, there were very few rules. You just didn't have to die.
Yeah.
So we just had fun. We had a good time. So.
The wiggle is actually on the stove. It's out of the oven. It's on the stove.
It's done.
Is there anything that you want to tell people who've never had wiggle? They should know. Go into the wiggle.
Pair it with a very nice Cabernet.
Ooh,
and drink most of the Cabernet first, and then enjoy your wiggle.
A lot of skinny kids. Here we are. We have the wiggle now. From what I remember, wiggle didn't fall apart like this.
Oh.
It stayed in a square, so just in terms of presentation, this might be misleading. Dennis, you've never had wiggle before, have you?
I have not.
Well, and of course I had a lot. We want to thank Julie Hughes again for talking about the wiggle experience, and Mary Knight. Wow, thank you so much. So Dennis, why don't you start?
Okay.
Why don't you taste the wiggle and then
do I want to just get a bit of everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Okie doke, here we go. Vegan wiggle, here we go. I like it. It's like a casserole. It's like a tomato ground beef casserole.
It is a tomato.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a try.
All right. You have a historical reference.
I do. Now, the top is crispy, the way that it ought to be. When you get the filling, which is the ground beef or the fake ground beef, the stewed tomatoes, and the canned green beans, of course, with the cheese on top, it should be kind of like biting into a pillow. But let's see what it's. Let's see what it tastes like. Okay, here we go. Everybody ready?
I'm holding my breath. Is it crunchier than you expected?
No, it's perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Wow.
Awesome.
Really good.
So the noodles, which now have become essentially twice baked, with crunchy cheese on top.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. It's
Bravo Wiggle. Does it bring it all back?
It does.
What's the first childhood memory that leapt into your head?
I remember sitting at the dinner table. We had wiggle a lot, but and Mom would cut it up. We'd each get our square, and then we would just tell what we did during the day. We would actually go around and we would using a particular form tell everyone what our days were like. Anyway,
dancing in the dark, walking through the park and reminiscing. Is that right?
That's very nice. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. If you want a wiggle recipe, please feel free to send me a message.
Send them a message.
A message.
That's what you do.
On the messenger. Anyway, Julie, Mary Knight, to anybody who is part of the wiggle experience, the Hughes family, the Robinsons, the Andersons, please join us. It will
wiggle dance.
It'll either change your life or it'll solidify it. Yay.